Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to make a card today using the Mama Elephant Grid Window Die and the Just Be You paper pad from Echo Park. If you don't have this one, or if it's no longer available, because I'm not sure if it is, I'm sure that you've got some type of pattern paper in your stash that you can use. I would recommend at this moment in time to try to use something that's double-sided, because I have an idea for it. We're going to see if it's going to work out. I hope it will. But we're going to make a shaker today. There are a ton of cover plate dies like this one that have multiple window openings. This is a different one that I've got from Poppy Stamps, the grid heart frame. I've used this before. It's great. But if you've got some type of cover plate that has multiple openings in a grid form, this is going to work out really well. It doesn't even have to be a grid now that I think about it. You'll see where we're going. So, okay. We are going to start by picking out our pattern paper. And again, I think it's important in this case, at this moment, to use something that's double-sided. I think it's going to work. And I want you to pay attention to what your cover plate die looks like if you don't have this one. Now, there are some great patterns in here, like this cactus, and there are some big flowers, but there's not a whole lot of room here on this frame, okay? So if we were to use the cactus, we're going to wind up losing a lot of that look. If we were to use the big flowers, where are they? Or the bicycles, we're going to lose a lot of that. So using these small flowers is perfect. And then the back side is just a stripe. So that's going to work for us today. I'm going to pull this out. And you can use any color you want. Doesn't matter. This is a nice springy color combo. I think it's really pretty. So we are going to run this through the die cut machine. And then we'll see what we wind up with after that. Okay, I love that I have a nice stitched edge around the border here. And here are all of our squares. Now, this is where the double-sided part of it comes in. You flip it over, and you're going to be able to see those because we're going to wind up putting them on our card base like so. Now, again, we're doing a shaker, so it's going to be raised up a little bit, so you'll be able to see around it. So to fix that, I've got this piece of yellow cardstock which coordinates quite nicely. We're going to cut this down, and that's going to go like this, and then we'll fit our stripes in like so, and we'll have a couple of patterns, some color for the areas that you can kind of peek through the side to see. And we'll get some shaker bits and get this finished. So this is going to be a really fun card. And you could put any sentiments you want on here. I'm not sure what we're going to use yet, but we'll see. Okay, I think that this is 4 1/4. It's just a little shy, but that's fine because the border is going to hide that little bit that we're missing. Not a big deal. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get these squares mounted onto this piece of cardstock. So we are not going to glue this because, again, we're making a shaker, so we don't need to glue that at the moment. But I do want to get our squares placed properly so that we don't have to worry about it later. So I'm going to just add some glue to each of these, and then we'll just pop them in place. Now, if you had a specific pattern that you really wanted to be, put together in a certain way, then you might want to keep them in their order when you pop them out, but it doesn't really matter. They're stripes. We're fine. I'm keeping them close to what they were-ish. Making sure that they line up. See that? And then I'll do the rest. The squares are all glued down, and you can see that when you raise this up, you can kind of see the yellow poking through. So that's why we have that colored piece behind the squares. So, and if you don't like the stripes going in this direction, you can obviously turn them. You can use a different pattern paper altogether if you're not a fan of what is on the back, but I think it's cute. It'll be fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start to build our shaker. I'm going to move this over for now. I've got this packaging. This is from a Spellbinders embossing folder. So I'm going to cut this down. Now, these folders, the plastic has a hole in it. Can you see that hole? So you want to make sure you remove that. So we'll just cut this on this side. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And then we are going to separate these two pieces. You usually just start to cut the seam and then pull it apart. And the same thing on the other side. Just like so, and we can save that other piece for another time. So now we need to trim this down a little further. If you have it hanging off the edge at the moment, that's okay. You can trim it off after you add your adhesive. Especially if you're concerned that you're going to wind up cutting too much off. So I'm going to trim this side a little bit more because it's got that bump in it. Okay. Good. So there's excess there, but I'll trim it off later. Okay. Now I need my carrot tape. Use whatever kind of double-sided adhesive tape that you have. I like this one because it tears really easily. It's a 1/4 inch thick and it's very strong. So I'm going to just go around the edges here like so. Now if you want to up the ante on this card, you could even separate each of the squares and have individual shaker windows. We're not going to do that today, but if you want to take this to the next level, you can totally do that. Especially if you want to use different types of shaker colors in each window, that would be really cute. Just going to remove the release paper. If you find that the release paper is pulling the tape up, just burnish it a little bit with your finger and then it'll stick. Make sure you go to the edge and then push it down. Try not to get any ripples. And there we go. We have our shaker window all set up. We just need to trim off this excess, which I'm going to do now. The next thing we need to do is build up the walls of our shaker. So I have this 1/4 inch foam tape that's 3 millimeters thick from scrapbook.com. And this is the part that you really need to pay attention and make sure that you get your foam all the way around nice and solid. You don't want to have any gaps because if you have gaps, your shaker bits could fall out. This would also be the time that you would apply foam into each segment if that's what you wanted to do. It doesn't even have to be each individual square. You could do it in rows or columns. These are columns. You could do it in rows, whatever. But this would be the time to do that. And you can see that this particular die is perfect with 1/4 inch tape, both for the foam and the tear tape, which is one of the reasons I like it so much because it's really easy to work with. Sometimes the border is too thin, sometimes the border is too thick. This is like perfect. Okay, making sure that that's closed up nice and tight so that we don't lose any of our shaker bits. And make sure you don't pull your foam tape too tight because you don't want to create like a bowed effect. It'll flatten out a little bit when you attach it to the card base, but nonetheless, you want to be careful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is fill our shaker window. I've got Opaque, Iridescent Peach, Satin Matte Pale Yellow, and Opalescent Sprouts from A Colorful Life Design. This is all from their Card Bling line. There are over 130 colors. Oh my gosh, they're gorgeous. So if you need sequins, that's the place to go. And what I love is that there's no holes in them. They're called confetti sequins. They're great. So you can see these colors look amazing with this panel. And now we're going to just have some fun and dump some of these colors in. If you don't have, you know, different colors like these, that's okay. You can use clear, you can use silver, you could maybe use gold, navy. Just see what you have. If you have glitter and not sequins, that's okay. Gems, different things. Clay bits, there's all different stuff you can use. That looks like it's plenty. Yeah, I think that that's good. All right. Yeah. Okay, so now is the tricky part. We're going to peel this off. The release paper on this comes off very nicely as well, as you can see. And now I'm bouncing things and they're sticking to my foam, but that's okay. And my finger, gotta love static. Okay. Come on, little fella. Get off of there. You really don't want to leave any sequins on the foam because it'll create a gap. Don't put that in there. Okay, so now the trickiest part of them all is getting this on here. So now it should line up fairly well. We'll have a little bit of a margin, but it should be fine. Take a deep breath, press it down, make sure you seal it really well with your fingers. Got a little bit hanging off the edge here, but all in all, not too bad. Cut that off. How fun is that? That is so cute. And now we're going to attach this to our card base and we'll add our sentiment. So to do that, I'm going to just use some liquid adhesive, get it on there, and we'll move on. This is drying, and I grabbed the checking in stamps from Christina Werner and Concord and Ninth. This set is so fantastic, and sometimes it's a little tricky to find. Like a store might have the stamps but not the dies in stock, or vice versa. So if you can get them from anywhere, either together or separate, I highly recommend it because the sentiments are fantastic. I've used them a bunch of times in videos and on my blog. We're going to use Hope today as a good one. And I don't want to use white because I don't know if you've noticed, but this is not a true white, and I don't really want to deal with trying to match up ivories and all of that. Plus, I think it would be nice to add some more yellow because, as you can see, the yellow is there, but it's not super obvious. So I think that adding some more of this same color is going to look really great. So let's pull this off and put it on a block. If you don't want to use a block, that's okay, but I like to take chances. I've got Coral Cabana, Catherine Pooler ink. I was going to use Twilight Versifying Clair, because that's a navy blue, Nocturne is black. I was going to use Twilight, but if I put it on the yellow, it might turn out green, and I don't really want green. So that's why I'm going with the Coral Cabana, because even if it goes a little orange, I think it'll still look really nice. And if it doesn't, I've got plenty of cardstock here. I can stamp it again with a different color. Or I can use something that is opaque, like a pigment ink. Or I can just use an embossing powder and do it that way. But hopefully this will work out just fine. Stamping like I mean it. Look at that. Fabulous. Doesn't that look cute? It should dry back a little bit, but I think that this is a very good color. Okay, so now I'm going to die cut this. This is the wrong die. I'm going to get the right die and die cut this out. Okay, we have die cut this out. Do I want it there? Do I want it there? I think I want it here. Yeah, I think that's cute. I don't really like putting them in the center. I think that it's good here, because you'll still see the shaker bits in these windows. We'll go with that. Okay, so I'm going to use my Tear It tape again, because adhering things to acetate can be a little tricky. The Barely Arts glue works fine with it, but you got to wait for it to dry, and I just can't be bothered. So Tear It tape it is. A little bit more over here. There we go. See how quickly that tears up? Okay, I'm gonna adhere this down. Do I want it like that? No, I want it up. Like so. That looks cute. Love it. So cute. We could have probably gone with a paler color, but I like it. It's striking. Look at all those shaker bits and that fabulous sound. Love it. And I really like that we got to use all of the paper that we die cut because we used those squares back here. And I think that that's really fun. And it doesn't take long to make this. You can go through a whole paper pad really quickly. But again, pay attention to the size of the paper. The pattern that's on the paper. Because you don't want to lose whatever it is, right? The bicycles really wouldn't have worked on here. The cactus wouldn't have worked on here. But these little flowers, just perfect. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this card. I will see you again very soon. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.